Hello, everyone. This is Brian Burrows with Equity Real Estate. I hope you all had a great week this last week and took in some of those numbers from last week and really absorbed some of that information. This week is a little bit different, and we're going to just go ahead and jump right into the numbers. So this is the last week starting on April 27th and ending on May 3rd, 2020. So for those that aren't aware, this is information that came from showing time based on all of the showings throughout the state of Utah through utahrealestate.com. This may not reflect, of course, all of the showings that ever came up because some people do contact the agents directly and try and schedule a showing without going through the system. But as you can see, this is pretty consistent, a good measurement tool to show where showings are and what's going on in the market. Again, this right here where this dip is, this is this year. We've dipped down right about the time that they shut everything down from the coronavirus, and we have gone up quite a bit. So we're right in here for this last week, and we're still looking pretty strong as far as how things go. And we'll talk a little bit about why those numbers are a little bit off. And this, as you can see, this graph, this is the number of active listings. This is brought to you by utahrealestate.com. All of the following information is also pulled from their website. And that is where the MLS is, where all of the realtors list their information. So it's an easy way to track. As you can see here, kind of dipped down right towards the end of February. That was right about the time that the panic started happening and everything started going haywire. Right in the middle of March, though, we kind of started seeing a steady increase in this incline as far as how many homes have been active and ready to go for sale. Right, hovering about 8,000 up here. And then in the last week, we've actually gone down just a hair, but we're going to see how this changes next week. I'm hoping that this just curves back up, but as you can see from 2019, we're on a steady increase, and then starting right about May, that's where a lot of people typically start getting their kids ready to finish school, and they know that it's going to take about 30 to 45 days usually to sell their homes, and so they'll go ahead and put it on the market in anticipation that towards the end of May, beginning of June, right towards the middle of June, they'll be closed on their home right before their vacations and things like that. But this year, things are changing a little bit, and we understand why, and so that may affect why there are quite a few less active listings going on right now. Just want to do a comparison for the last 5 years. 2019 was up here, and that was a pretty good year. It wasn't quite the same as 2016, which stayed strong the whole year. But as you can see, we typically follow a curve pattern, and we go down just a hair on most of these coming into the year. And then the second quarter, that is when most people list their homes. So 60% of, on average, about 60% of the homes get listed in that second quarter alone. Some stay on the market a little bit longer, and so that's why we see this curve where the active listings will continue to stay on, but it's almost like a feeding frenzy when things happen like that. A lot of people are looking to buy houses at that time, but this year we see that we get into March, we jump way up into April, and then now we're kind of at a flat line. So I want to point this number out. We're right about 7,700 right here that have been active, going right towards the end of April and going into May. And that is a significant thing to think of. I also want to point out right about the middle of March, towards the end, that's where our sales are for this last week, is stuff that's in here. And as you can see, we were at let's say about 7,500 right in the middle of March. And so that's what we're going to pull our sales data at as far as what's going on. The under contract listings have steadily stayed pretty strong. So like I said, the graphs are staying pretty consistently higher than 2019, although this last couple of weeks, we've actually seen a little bit of a decline. And of course, that could be because fewer homes are going on the market. 2020 stayed pretty strong. I mean, we stayed a little bit ahead of 2019, but you could see with the active listings on that chart, that's definitely going to pay play a role in how many under contract listings, because you can't sell anything that's not there. So again, with the chart, you saw last week, you saw that this actually dropped, and I did say based on what we saw from the prior month, because this jumps from each month. So last week we were right here. As we moved into May, and we can see where this goes on the average, we're still a little bit lower as far as the others. And this is just the average number of under contract listings based upon how many are up for sale. And then, there are all the factors in, but if we look, the average number of under contract listings, right, because we're still at the beginning of this, right about now, at the beginning of May, about 7,600. I'm going to jump back a little bit, but as you saw, it's about 7,600 that are active. But we're also wanting to look at our sales coming up here. So remember this number, just about 7,500. Okay, so this is our total number of sold residential listings. It's kind of not giving me the numbers. I'm hoping we see those numbers next week between these 2 months. Sorry, UtahRealEstate.com hasn't published that information yet, but like I said, just based on what we've seen, we saw that dip in April. We saw loans change, requirements, a lot of people being a lot more strict as far as lending. And so, it's going to be harder for people to get a loan, especially if they're just barely qualified under those FHA programs with 580 credit scores. Talking to my lenders, we're looking at closer to a 640 credit score kind of being a baseline. Also, the other thing that's kind of affected this is that Utah Housing has kind of rolled back their program, and what that did for a lot of buyers, especially first-time home buyers that couldn't quite get that 3%. Maybe they're paying way too much in rent to begin with, and they just don't have any extra money to save, where buying a home will actually make more sense, but you can't save the money to get that down payment. They were actually taking that 3% and wrapping it up as a separate loan and just at a little bit higher interest rate, and just letting people pay that off over a 30-year period. So they've actually repealed that for the time being. I'm hoping that as things get a little bit better, we'll see that come back, because that was a great program for a lot of people to get into a home, and a great way for people to get in with zero down. So here are the direct market statistics as far as what is actually selling just this last week. So we're going to break it down. Again, UtahRealEstate.com, their information is here. Last year, for the last week, the average days on the market was 43. This year, the average days on the market has changed, and now we're at 33. If you saw the video last week, we're still pretty consistent. We're pretty close to the same. The only things that have changed are the average list price. And last week, we're in a little bit higher than 380. And so we've kind of dropped down. A lot of people are saying, well, maybe my house is a little bit too high. And so they're kind of dropping it down just because they know that it's not going to sell if it's overpriced. Who wants to buy an overpriced house? It makes a difficult situation getting in. But the average sold price at 374 last year was about 35, about 3,300 less than what the list price was. This year we're at 379.4 and average sold price 376.6. So we're doing slightly better. There are a lot of people that are maybe taking a little bit less on their offers. But as you can see, we're still slightly ahead of last year. It's not the jump that we've seen in the past where homes have gone up 7-8%. Only going up about $2,000 with that exchange. Not a huge jump, but we're definitely not dropping in our market right now, and that's the biggest thing where a lot of people were really concerned about with a recession. Sometimes you see quite a bit of a decrease in home values. We're just not seeing that, so we are definitely staying ahead. The number of sales, though, is 1241 for last week, just that 1 week alone, and the number of sales for this last week was 854. But like I said, back on the other page where we saw how many homes were getting listed, that's still pretty consistent with how many homes are coming up on the market. And so we're still doing pretty good here. I have, if anyone has any issues trying to get their home for the first time, if your credit is a little bit lower than what they're looking at right now, I do have some great people that can help you out. Make sure that you can get in the home maybe within the next 2-3 months, even just depending on how you get your credit handled. And I have those credit repair people that can take a look, get you on track, make sure there aren't any weird things that shouldn't be on your credit. Sometimes that'll affect it. But I really want to take care of all the people out there. On the sales side, I would love to help you take a look and see exactly how your exact neighborhood is looking, because there are a lot of hot spots in the state right now, and there are also a few other areas that maybe aren't as hot, and we can discuss ways to market your property so that it will sell and be more attractive. Of course, I always do digital marketing, and I love to do that for you. If you ever have any questions or you just want to chat, my number is 801-920-9343. Thank you.